Only on CBS This Morning, Grammy winner Jeff Tweedy, the frontman of Wilco, is revealing the racial justice organization that will receive 5% of his songwriting royalties. In a statement after the killing of George Floyd last summer, Tweedy wrote, "The modern music industry is built almost entirely on black art. The wealth that rightfully belonged to black artists was stolen outright." He called for an industry-wide plan to address this enormous injustice. Tweedy, who won his latest Grammy last night, says he hopes this step will inspire other white artists to follow suit.
I don't have all the answers. I just want to do my part.
This month, Jeff Tweedy, who sold millions of records with his indie rock band Wilco, will begin giving away some of his songwriting income to social justice causes. It's 5% of your songwriter's royalties that you're contributing.
Right. In all honesty, isn't a whole lot of money. The point would be that would be multiplied by thousands of people at my level.
The money will go at first to I Grow Chicago, a nonprofit in his native city that serves the Englewood neighborhood on the South Side with food assistance, education, and job skills training.
We are part of the community. We're here giving direct support, direct connection, and being able to directly impact the lives of the community members that we serve and work hand in hand with.
Their mission statement quotes Cornel West saying, "Justice is what love looks like in public." That's something that we believe very deeply in our family.
Do you consider this a form of reparations?
Yeah, it's a tricky word to use for some people. We have a large segment of our population that worked to build this country and were never paid for it. That needs to be repaired.
Brittany Spanos, a senior writer for Rolling Stone, agrees. Whose responsibility is it to change this?
It's definitely the label's responsibility to reassess how they're paying their artists, reassess, have taken advantage of artists in the past.
Taken advantage of pioneering artists like the late Little Richard, whose 1955 hit Tutti Frutti was a battle cry at the birth of rock and roll. In many ways, it all started with Little Richard.
It all started with Little Richard. We wouldn't have the Beatles if we didn't have Tutti Frutti. We wouldn't have the Rolling Stones.
The next song we'd like to do, which was originally recorded by Little Richard. I'm gonna tell that Mary,
Little Richard's songs were often covered by white artists. But as he told Ed Bradley of 60 Minutes in 1985,
they sold a fortune of these records, but I never got a dime. Elvis Presley sold millions of my records. Elvis Presley did all of my stuff.
And as writer, you didn't get
didn't get a call from nobody, not a Christmas card.
They were not given royalties at all, and if they were, it was crumbs. And still today, black music created profits for the music industry, but the artists that were making the music, that were creating the industry, were not seeing the same end of the deal that white artists that were inspired by them were getting.
Another hugely influential artist, the late Bo Diddley, also complained about bad contracts in a 1985 CBS interview.
These people have made millions and millions, and they're still selling songs, and they're licensing stuff all over the world, and I want money. I don't want songs.
What needs to change in the music industry?
The good news is that a lot of things are changing.
Binta Brown, an attorney and music executive, is a co-founder of the new Black Music Action Coalition that formed last summer.
People are listening now more than they had been listening before.
But while black artists dominate the charts, and some now have better contracts, Brown says, there is plenty of room for the industry to improve.
We need to do a better job of making sure that black people are fully and truly participating in the revenues that are being generated, and that we have better representation at the executive level. There need to be more black artists, more black women artists who are headlining and on the main stages of festivals.
Can we make this right?
Well, we have to. As a culture, as a society, we have to make it right.
A broken home, a broken heart.
Tweedy has been deeply influenced by black artists, like his fellow Chicagoan Mavis Staples, for whom he's produced 3 albums. I don't know if you talked to people in the African-American community when you were, considering all this. Did you reach out to Mavis, for example?
I thought about it. The initial impulse to write the statement was somewhat guided by the idea that this isn't their problem. And I didn't want to burden Mavis with that idea, that Jeff needs some help figuring out how to feel better about racism or something, And when I know the answer is that you don't get to feel better about it, racism.
Tweedy thought his challenge to the music industry would start a conversation. Did many of your fellow musicians reach out to you about it?
Not as many as I thought would maybe happen initially. What
were you hoping would come from it?
I think I was hoping that someone much more famous than myself would say, hey, that's a decent idea. Let's really get the ball rolling. I really want to remain hopeful about this. And at the same time, I have to be honest that I wish it was being taken a little bit more seriously,
Tweedy's publishing company, BMI, told CBS News it has received a small number of requests to direct royalties like Tweedy has done. Grammy-winning band Bon Iver announced in December that, inspired by Tweedy, it would commit 5% of its publishing royalties to fight gender inequality and domestic violence. But what Jeff has said here throughout is, he thought, given that the way the music industry had opened up to black artists and how important contribution they'd made, this would be happening. And when he looked and he realized it wasn't.
Well, when you show the past injustice, with Little Richard talking about didn't even get a Christmas card, bravo to Jeff Tweedy for bringing attention to it. Maybe the more people hear about it, maybe they'll want to do something about it.
You can't just go forward in a more fair way.
No.
You've got to fix the past by actually addressing it.
Exactly.
Powerful
right.
piece.
Exactly right.
All right.